Hi all, so today indoors we have a BBSHD motor that has a Hall sensor error, and we're gonna be attempting to fix it. So instead of for a power supply, I won't be using a battery. I'll be using bench power test, and it does much better than basically having different batteries in stock. So what we're gonna do now is all plugged in. Let's test it. So once we power on the display, as you can see, error 08 comes up, and in the Bafang, 08 means Hall sensor error. So now basically what we're gonna do is strip down the motor, and we need access to the whole board. In this case, the controller was off already. The motor came with an old controller. So basically I've tested an old controller and the new one, because sometimes the Hall sensor error can come from the controller itself. So as you can see here as well, I removed the rubber seals around the phase cables and around the whole sensor board. So that's what we're gonna need to be accessing. Now around the motor core, you have 4 bolts, and when you're gonna be removing them, if the motor hasn't been opened recently, it's gonna be a bit tricky to open it up. So my advice is, if you have a rubber mallet, just go nicely gently around the corners, and that will loosen up the grip. So once the motor splits open, basically try, when you're pulling out through these holes, try not to damage the phase cables. If you manage to damage it, use heat shrink to basically cover these up, because if these bare wires are touched to the housing or something, you're basically going to burn down your core. So as you can see here, we have the Hall sensor board. Some boards, as you can see, they have temp sensors, some don't. So for example, if your board has a temp sensor, and you're replacing the new board doesn't have a temp sensor, once you fitted a new board, you will have a temperature error, because the controller thinks it's supposed to have a temp sensor. So in that situation, you have 2 options. One option is to flash custom open source firmware, which is available for everyone online. And basically, another option is to flash the official Bafang firmware, if you can get your hands on it. Not many people do. I do have all the versions if needed. So what we're going to do now, we're going to be taking off the whole board, and we're going to be removing the whole sensors. The thing is, I like to replace all of them. Doesn't matter if one is faulty, I want to be rest assured. Okay, as you can see, the whole board has been removed. Sometimes it could be tricky to pull the holes out of the hole. In that situation, you need to remove the rotor and basically try to pry them out with something small and pointy. Just put it under the whole sensors. But yeah, most likely in that situation, they might get damaged. So in any advice, I would always recommend to replace all of them. And yeah, as you can see, that's the temp sensor. These boards can be purchased online. I think in the UK their prices are around £25. Some boards come with pre-soldered Hall sensors, some don't. In our situation, that's the Hall sensors I'm using. You can get them on eBay fairly cheap. I use these Hall sensors in my personal motor as well. They do the job, and doesn't cost a fortune. Right, as you can see, so basically all the Hall sensors, all of them has been removed. In this video I won't be showing you any tutorials on how to solder, because I believe there's so many channels that can teach you much better than basically that I can. So I'm just basically going to be focusing on the repair part itself. So what I like to do, I like to fit basically the whole sensors in the board first. Then I'm gonna basically put the whole board back into its place, tighten up the bolts, and then I will know how long I will need to keep the legs. And then I will solder them up, cut the rest, job done. Right, as you can see, the whole board and the sensors are in place. So now we know the exact length they have to be, and we're just gonna solder them up and test everything out. Okay, as you can see, everything is being soldered up. So now we're just basically gonna clean up the board and cut the tops off, assemble the motor core, and test everything up and see if all our repair was successful. Right, so now once the motor assembled, everything's connected. Let's just flip the switch on the power supply. Let's look at the screen. In this case, I'm using SW102, one of the small cousins of an egg rider, just a cheaper version. As we can see, we get no more errors. So let's try walk mode first. Motor works. So that means our repair was successful. Another hit with the throttle. Yeah, motor works as it should. So that's it. We basically repaired the whole sensors. So now this motor has to undergo a few bits of maintenance before it's going to be fully assembled. But I thought I'm going to share the video with you guys. I thought, it might be useful. If you find that useful, subscribe, drop a like, give a comment as well. Let me know what you think, or let me know what kind of tutorials with the Bafang mid drives would you like to see. Thank you all for watching.